Hello, this is wmpyr. First of all, I saw a video recently of this guy on YouTube that he was teaching people how to use the knife for self-defense. And I'm sure there's tons of videos out there like that, but the one that I saw kind of compelled me to make this video. And when I scrolled down and read some of the comments under the video, some people were thanking the guy. And it's because today, right now, is maybe a time where we kind of need self-defense skills more than ever in modern times, just because it seems like the violence level has gone up in some parts of the world, unfortunately. So anyway, in the video, the guy didn't really mention what style that he practiced and stuff like that. So first thing, let me start off with, I started training martial arts in 1991. I was a junior in junior high school at the time, and I pretty much never stopped since. And at that time, one of the styles that I learned was arnis, which is a Filipino martial arts. And primarily, my base, my main focus is Filipino martial arts. Okay, and like I said, I've been doing it since 1991. So that's a little bit about my background right there. So even though what I got out of that, I've modified over the years, the base is still Filipino martial arts. So let me just make that clear. So the first thing is, that guy was talking about grip, knife grips. So he talked about this kind of grip, which I call the standard grip. And then he talked about this grip, which I call the reverse grip. And he said this grip doesn't give you reach, therefore he doesn't use it. He doesn't teach it. And the first thing is, I want to make it clear and straight for you guys. I mean, that's fine for his system, but in Filipino martial arts, we use both. Okay, so that's the general understanding. And the reason, the explanation that I think most Filipino martial arts people will tell you is that when you have some distance, you use this because of the reach. And then when you are in closer, you use this. Okay. So that's the general explanation. And I think most Filipino martial arts people do that. On top of that, through my own findings, I would like to add another bit of information there, which I think is critical, which I think is super, super important. And that is, when you are closer, engaged much closer with the opponent. So I'm talking about close range and ground range. In that kind of situation, this grip is much safer for you. And to me, that was a big deal, because I saw some like police footage camera or security camera footage where the person holding the knife ended up stabbing and cutting themselves. So, when real life situation is going to be very, very intense, in a situation like that, keeping yourself safe is extremely important when handling something this dangerous. So that's something that I've come to really appreciate, and I make sure to teach my students, and make sure to tell you guys about that. I think it's very, very important. So this grip is safer for you when you're engaged much closer with the opponent. Okay. So the next thing the guy talks about is stance. And the stance that he took was, he said that, the hand that has the knife is going to be in this grip, and this hand is going to be to the back, and this hand right here is going to be to the front like this. Fingers not out because they could get cut, so have it closed. and you're presenting the meat part and not the soft inside. So like this, and the knife over here like so, So that was the stance that he recommended, okay? So from a Filipino martial arts point of view, uh, in my opinion, if someone stood in front of me like that and they have the weapon and I also have a knife, they have a knife, I have a knife, I feel like they're making my job a lot easier by presenting this, because I like to cut the arms. In Filipino martial arts, we're trained to attack the arms, defang the snake, right? Even though this hand doesn't have a weapon, to me it's still a weapon, because he could punch with it, he could elbow with it, he could grab, so it's still a weapon. And if I take out that weapon, it's, even though it may not be the primary weapon in this case, it's right there. So I could just attack that all day long because he's putting it up front, kind of without protection. So that's just my opinion. And, I'm sure there are people out there that, even though I'm saying this right now, if I actually sparred or went full contact with them, I may find out that it's not that easy, because everybody can develop their craft, right? So, but I'm just saying, on the surface, I get that kind of impression. Now, in Filipino martial arts, it's different from what this guy taught. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying it's different from Kali, Eskrima, and Arnis. Why? Because we tend to have the weapon side to the front, okay? Now, we could use both hands, and we use both sides. So we could also use the weapon side to the back, or we could use the weapon side to the front. But generally speaking, the weapon is to the front. And the reason for that is, all across the board, I believe the idea is the same, no matter what school of Filipino martial arts. The weapon side to the front, because we're using the weapon for offense and defense. So it only makes sense to have the weapon to the front in that case. So because we're using it for offense and defense, let's compare it to what this guy was explaining. What this guy was explaining was, this hand is going to defend, this hand that has the weapon is going to attack. So that's what he was explaining. So his partner attacked him with a knife, and he used this hand to clear it, and then he countered with that, okay? And I'm not saying that's wrong, right? I'm just saying that's different from Filipino martial arts. So I'm hoping to help you guys understand the different strategies out there and what we do and what someone else might do, okay? Not saying one's better than the other. I don't know. You'd have to go at them. You'd have to do full contact sparring with them at the very least to know who's better. And that's an individual thing, okay? So technique-wise, tactics-wise, okay, this hand right here is, once again, if they attack me with a knife, I'm using this to counter and hit them on the arm with this. And what we're going for in Filipino martial arts, we have a hierarchy, and the most ideal is our weapon to their flesh. That's what we want, okay? My weapon right on their flesh. If I can't get that, I'll go weapon to weapon. That's fine. And if I can't get that, I'll go hand to hand. So my hand against their hand. And the one that I want to avoid is their weapon and my hand. I want to avoid that one, all right? So that's the hierarchy right there. So what we're aiming for, because I have a weapon in my hand, is to go my knife on their arm, right? What he is showing is he's using his arm to defend like that, which means he's going hand on their hand, because obviously even if they're attacking with a knife, he doesn't want to deflect the knife with his hand, so he's going hand to hand. And that is not our ideal, especially if we already have a knife. That's not, why am I going for less than ideal? So as far as Filipino martial arts go, it's not the same as what he was showing. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. Now, at the same time, what he was demonstrating here with the arm here and using this part and the fingers closed and the blade back here, we do use that. We actually use something very, very similar in Filipino martial arts, okay? And that is done with a partner drill. And so we take turns where, because it's a drill, and we go back and forth, and we get a lot of repetitions, which is a very good thing. And that's what makes the drill so powerful, is that you get a lot of repetitions and it goes into muscle memory. The bad thing about drills is that unless you're an instructor and you guys know what this is, how it's going to be used, from a drill, you don't really know how it's going to be used in a real life situation because you guys are just drilling it. It's a very isolated practice that you're doing. So it's not like full contact sparring. So it's hard to understand how is this really used in real life. So, and chances are your instructor may not even know. So unless they've done some testing. Now, I did some testing, and that drill, to me, is used in medium range. And medium range means I can reach the opponent, they can reach me. It's intense. So it's boom. So the way I'm using it is not use this arm to clear. I mean, it's boom. It's like that. It's reflexive. It's super fast like that because you're already in range. You don't have the time. And in a medium range situation, environment like that, if you are doing something like this, it is my opinion that is not a good idea because you're creating openings. And the way that I also see this is if you look at a combat sport, something like boxing, which looks completely unrelated to knife fighting, but actually it's a lot of similarities. So if you look at boxing, there's outboxing and then there's boxing on the inside. And so when you're outside, you could parry, you could evade, you could have your arms more open up like this. And in fact, if I am going to receive and defend against a strike, I want it to be more out here than here. So that's different from now when I'm closer with the opponent. So in long range, I could be fighting with my arms out. But in medium range, if I have my arms out, I'm wide open. So in medium range, things become tighter. So if you look at the way Mike Tyson boxes, when he gets much closer, I mean, everything is compact and close. So that's, to me, no different with this or in sport. Or actually, boxing is sport, but it's also empty hand. So sport, empty hand fighting, and knife fighting, I don't see the difference. Same kind of logic there. And to me, that is still true with the Filipino martial arts logic. So still true of Kali, Eskrima, Arnis. So that's, one way to look at combat. And just wanted to make that comparison for you guys and something for you guys to think about so that you can kind of start building and making your own strategies and tactics, or at least understand what it is you're practicing on my channel. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing and take care, folks.